With markets changing and living costs rising, finding a reliable place to grow your money matters now more than ever. With the Wealthfront Cash Account, your uninvested money earns a 3.75% APY, which is higher than the average savings rate. There are no account fees or minimums, and you also get free instant withdrawals to eligible accounts 24/7. So you always have access to your money when you need it. And when you're ready to invest, you can transfer your cash to one of Wealthfront's expert-built portfolios in just minutes. More than 1 million people already use Wealthfront to save and build long-term wealth with confidence. Get started today at wealthfront.com. Cash account offered by Wealthfront Brokerage, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Wealthfront Brokerage is not a bank. Annual percentage yield on deposits as of September 26, 2025 is representative, subject to change, and requires no minimum. The cash account is not a bank account. Funds are swept to program banks where they earn the variable APY.
You're listening to KFI AM 640 on demand.
It's later with Mo Kelly, but this is Andy Riesmeyer. I'm in for Mo tonight. I'll be with you all the way until 10 p.m. We got a great show for you this evening. So much is happening. Dodgers clinching fourth straight NL West title. It's the 12th in their last 13 years. That happened this afternoon. We'll talk a little about that. Also, California slang. What kids are saying these days is absolutely absurd. The words that they're using might as well be in a different language. And I swear it's different than when I was a kid. I think there was some through line between young people content when I was a teenager. At least my parents understood us, like the words we were saying. We'll get into that. And a lot of people Googling those, the slang rather, here in California, because they want to know what these things mean. What's a chuzz? What is... what else do we got on here? We got all kinds of crazy ones. We've got bops, sharking. We spoke to an actual young person earlier today on the KTLA Morning News. I'm going to play that, and then we will open up the phone lines here and have everybody call in and let us know what you think about these things. I think that we're slowly in a place where the young people, all of a sudden, this is not maybe going to happen overnight, but it'll be quick. We'll just basically become a completely different society. I know that that's always been the thing. Teenagers have always been different, whatever. But there you go. Also, the big news today, Comey. James Comey has been indicted. This was something we expected to be coming, but it really came down at around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Of course, he's a longtime adversary of President Trump. Now is the first senior governmental official to face federal charges in one of Trump's largest grievances, CNN says. The federal grand jury indicted him today. Both charges relate to a testimony in September of 2020 to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Comey said he did not authorize someone at the FBI to be an anonymous source. And later, of course, they're alleging that that was false. The charges were presented by Lindsay Halligan, who is President Trump's former personal attorney, now the top prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia. We'll, of course, keep you updated on that if we get any information. I don't expect them to have any information tonight on that, but that is the big story. In other news, at least as far as the internet and the president is confirmed, about an hour ago, Reuters reporting that Trump has signed an order declaring TikTok is now, partially at least, an American company. The executive order declares that the plan to sell TikTok to a U.S.-based operator is basically to address national security requirements that were part of a law from 2024. The interesting thing about this is that the company, or at least the new U.S. version of TikTok, is valued at around $14 billion. I know that sounds like a lot of money. I would take $14 billion. Brigida Santos, would you do $14 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
Tony, what do we think about $14 billion?
I can make that work.
You can make it work, but here's the deal. The company values itself at more than $330 billion. I like that concept. You may think I'm only worth 14, but I think I'm worth $330 billion. So that's kind of interesting. And another independent analyst says that TikTok was somewhere worth between $30 billion and $40 billion without the algorithm. So that, of course, an update in social media world. But what I really want to talk about, which is what I teased a little bit earlier, are these slang terms. Like I said, people really just have a hard time knowing what young people are saying. And we talk a lot about generational divides, things that are different between people who are older and younger. And I swear with the internet, it's getting more and more difficult. And maybe the social media is like putting us into these boxes where we have to feel like my age group really defines who I am. Even though, as we know, as we've talked about many times on the weekend show or on KTLA, generations are basically just made up. Especially if you're an old man with a young wife. But research by unscrambler.com analyzed slang-related Google searches starting at the beginning of this year. The number one top search slang term is, and if you have kids, you've probably heard them say this, 6'7"? It originated from a rapper who's from Philadelphia. His name's Skrilla. He has a song, and basically on TikTok, they edited the song with a clip about LaMelo Ball, and it's a reference to his height. If you don't understand this, I totally get it. And if you hate it, I also understand it. But basically, 6'7" doesn't mean anything. It's like filler word. It's like brain rot that the kids are just saying. And they try to like run around and get each other to say it, and they think it's really funny. The randomness of it is what's so funny. Other things include chopped, ugly, or undesirable. Did you know about this one? Brigitta's shaking her head yes. She's heard chopped.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so am I like an old man being like,
No,
hey,
I'm old too. I'm an older millennial, so, you know.
I don't hear chopped in
I've never
common
heard anyone say
conversation.
it.
How about Sigma?
Yeah, but only because TikTok keeps showing me the kids that are like the moms my
Right.
age who are talking to their kids.
But no one in real life
No.
has said these things. Bop.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Bop to me meant like a good song. Like that is a bop. Like you could say Free Fallin' is a bop by Tom Petty. That apparently is a person with many sexual partners.
Yeah, it's like the girls that are on OnlyFans are bops.
They're bops. This is confusing because if you're like,
It's so confusing.
You'd
It's
be
so
like,
funny if you say it wrong.
I discovered a great bop last night.
That sounds so bad.
And I'm referring to
a song.
a yacht rock tune. That's not what young people would think. Sharking apparently is looking for casual hookups. Clanker is a derogatory slang for robots. That's a joke. No one actually says that. And chuzz apparently means an unattractive man. It's a blend of chopped and huzz, which is short for husband. These people don't, we're losing our humanity. Other things include glazing, that means excessive flattery, phantom tax, taking a friend's food, slop, which is low effort AI content, and aura farming, doing something online mostly just to look cool for clout. Most slang, of course, now spreads through TikTok, Instagram, meme culture, whatever. And so it gets to kids faster than ever. That, I think, is the major difference, is that I think if you looked across the country, maybe even the world, these kids, maybe I'd say teenagers a little younger, would probably all have the same frame of reference for slang, which I think is totally different from when we were kids. And I tested this today because I asked some of my coworkers about this. You talk about chopped as a stand-in for ugly. This is also sad, by the way. But when we were young, in Indiana, you would say, oh, that person is hit. Terrible. But in California, you would say, that person is beat. I don't know what all this means. I don't know where we're going as a people. But we'll get there. 800-520-1534. That's the phone number. Give us a call. Tell us about the slang terms. If your kids are saying them, if you say them, 800-520-1534. Matthew will open up the phone lines there. We'll take your calls, put you on the air. You can also find us on the iHeartRadio app. Just look up KFI AM 640. That's where you're listening here. And there's a little microphone there. You can click on that button, leave a talk back if you don't want to have me respond to you. It's ironic we call that talk back because I can't actually talk back to you if you leave that message. But if it's a little less pressure to do it that way, I guess. And if you want to call, like I said, 800-520-1534, 800-520-1KFI. Andy Riesmeyer in here for Mo Kelly tonight. Lots of show tonight. Coming up, we're going to talk about a review of the fire response from Los Angeles in both the Eaton and the Palisades fire. Plus, a viral parking app in San Francisco was shut down hours after it was launched. It was supposed to help you find out where the meter maids were. And the city said nope. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to KFI AM 640 on demand.
Andy Riesmeyer in for Mo tonight, along with Brigida D'Agostino.
You got it.
Brigida, I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, we haven't seen each other in a while, and I got married. So
I know.
that's what happens to us ladies. We lose our history.
Brigida, no ladies I know.
I know. I shouldn't have done it, I guess.
No.
Change it back.
I think it's great. You know, you had a good name and you got a good name.
Well, it's more complicated now. Brigida D'Agostino. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing to us?
I think it's got a lot of good consonants, got a lot of good vowels. Santos is good too. I'm just Andy Riesmeyer. You can find me on the internet at AndyKTLA if you'd like to. If you'd like to say hello, we're taking calls right now. 800-520-1KFI. Always happy to hear from everybody. We were talking a little bit about slang, that young people, and we're talking about Gen Z, but also even younger, like Gen Alpha, people born between the years of 2010 and now. So 15-year-old. I don't know a lot of people in general, let alone, I don't have kids, so I have no interaction with children for the most part. But a lot of interesting conversations came from that. We talked to somebody earlier today who is in that generation. We'll check on that a little bit later. But I want to go up to San Francisco where something wild has occurred.
Francisco, you probably have gotten a parking ticket or two. Maybe it's because your meter expired. Now, the engineer, Riley Weiss, he says he just loves data. And he says his app was supposed to be all part of a big data experiment.
Okay, so what happened was there was an app that went viral. And it was tracking parking cops in the city of San Francisco. It was up for about 4 hours before the city pulled the plug. It was called Find My Parking Cops. And essentially what you were doing is checking this map, and you could see people writing tickets. Ticket cops. They're actually cops up in San Francisco who write the tickets, not in Los Angeles, it's parking enforcement. But you could see where they were, and I think ostensibly so you could see if they were heading your way and if you had to move your car or put some more money in that meter.
I'm not out to get the parking cops. Like I respect their work and stuff.
Software engineer Riley Waltz doesn't have a car, and he's never gotten a parking ticket. But his friends and roommate have gotten plenty of them.
I open our mailbox, I just see those tickets. So that was kind of what inspired it, was just seeing those.
He decided to create an app called Find My Parking Cops, using SFMTA data already posted online for the public to see.
I'm a huge data nerd. Like, this is just really cool data to look at.
Waltz says his app was supposed to be a tool to help drivers in San Francisco.
It's a riff off of Find My Friends. I was able to reverse engineer the SF parking ticket system so I could see kind of close to real time where parking tickets were issued in the city. And then I was making a map of like where the actual parking cops were as they traversed the city and issued tickets.
I am a nerd. I don't think that I make any bones about that, but I am so jealous of someone who could be so smart and so excited to do so much math.
So in theory, maybe you could use that to avoid them, avoid a ticket.
The app went viral, but within 4 hours, SFMTA put a stop to Waltz's project.
They changed their site, so I couldn't scrape the data from their site anymore.
And the city says, we welcome creative uses of technology to encourage legal parking, but we also want to make sure our employees are able to do their jobs safely and without disruption. They shut it down. A lot of comments saying, we want transparency. Where is the transparency? Others saying, oh, now you care. Now you care about the officers. By the way, parking enforcement in San Francisco is reportedly up. They're writing more tickets to try to help with a $322 million deficit. We've been checking back and forth for that app, Find My Parking Cops. You can just Google it. Riley Walseth is the guy who made it. Nothing. Still not up. So, unfortunately, you'll just have to keep feeding the meter. Coming up, Jack Primavera will join us, talk about the state of music in Southern California. He works on the television show The Voice. They are coming back for season, I think, 375? 376, maybe? You have to check my math on that one. We're going to talk about the new season and also just sort of what it's like to be a musician now in 2025 in the world of AI and also streaming and consolidation. It's hard. It's tough to get people to watch your stuff and listen to it. But now we're checking in with Brigina D'Agostino.
You're listening to
With markets changing and living costs rising, finding a reliable place to grow your money matters now more than ever. With the Wealthfront Cash Account, your uninvested money earns a 3.75% APY, which is higher than the average savings rate. There are no account fees or minimums, and you also get free instant withdrawals to eligible accounts 24/7. So you always have access to your money when you need it. And when you're ready to invest, you can transfer your cash to one of Wealthfront's expert-built portfolios in just minutes. More than 1 million people already use Wealthfront to save and build long-term wealth with confidence. Get started today at wealthfront.com. Cash account offered by Wealthfront Brokerage, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Wealthfront Brokerage is not a bank. Annual percentage yield on deposits as of September 26, 2025 is representative, subject to change, and requires no minimum. The cash account is not a bank account. Funds are swept to program banks where they earn the variable APY.
to KFI AM 640 on demand.
I'm Andy Riesmeyer in for the aforementioned Mo Kelly on this Thursday, the 25th of September, just past 7:30 here. Nice day. Still a little humid there. Temperatures coming down though, especially in the valley. I was out working. I was working in the yard, sweating. Had to change shirts before I rinsed off before I came in. That's how you know it's serious. We have a caller on the line from Costa Mesa, California, where the weather is always perfect. Scott, you're on later with Mo Kelly with Andy Riesmeyer.
Well, hello there. Yeah, I wanted to comment on sort of like the how kids are morphing words and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It reminded me of growing up in high school, junior high school. You know, back in those days, we didn't have internet or anything like that, but
Right.
there was always a couple kids who they actually made their own language. You know, they made it like Klingon or whatever, something like that, to where only they knew what they were talking about.
Right.
But it was pretty ingenious and stuff like that. But
Do you remember any of the terms? Were you aware of that language? Did you speak it, or did you just know of it?
No, I just kind of laughed at them.
But now it seems like everybody is doing that.
Well, exactly, and I think that's technology that spreads it all. And you know, I'm okay with laugh out loud or OMG, you know, those abbreviations and stuff like that. But I don't know when you get into those big words
Right.
where it's double meaning and stuff like that. My nephew does that to me, and
Drives you nuts,
I
I'm
throw
sure.
back, it totally does. But I just throw back, DC. I was like, what does that mean? Don't care.
Don't care.
And he's learned that don't do that with me. You know,
Oh, boy.
speak normal.
Yeah.
And it works, you know, and it's just, you know, I don't want to like crush his soul or anything like that, but you know, it's just these things are just so exhausting.
Yes, I would agree with you. There you go. Well, thank you so much for calling. As always, good to hear from you, Scott, there in Costa Mesa, California, where it's exhausting, but at least you have a good, I mean, you're in Costa Mesa. Life is great. Speaking of great life, I'm so happy to invite and welcome one of my closest friends of all time, Mr. Jack Primavera, live here in studio.
Hello, Andy. I'm so honored to be here.
This is so great because you and I have known each other forever. We went to high school together.
We both go back to Miss Corpenning's class in sophomore year of high school.
And I think I failed it. I'm sure you did really well.
It was an English class. I think I did do well.
Yeah, you probably did. But we've both been in music in different ways. I was in a band. You came out to LA to do music and work in the music business. You now work on The Voice, or you have worked on The Voice for the past many seasons.
2019, since season 16.
And you're just about to start season.
We just this week had our premiere of season 28.
Amazing.
Yes.
So you're a vet.
There are people that have been on it, including one of my editors since season 1. It's an incredible show, and it still keeps going.
And employs a lot of people in Southern California in the entertainment business, which I feel like is a rare thing these days.
Yes, 100%. And I will shout out to the show that we made it through the COVID era, the strikes, and they just kept going. It's an amazing show.
So we were talking about music in general and sort of like what it is to be a musician these days. And, the world that it used to be, I feel like when we were first growing up, or first starting out in music when we were growing up, music reviews, especially places like Pitchfork, The New Yorker, historically, they sort of did the indie and the alternative things, and they kind of were tastemakers. And that's how you found a lot of your music. If you were really into music, they sort of sidestepped people like Taylor Swift, other pop artists. And in a lot of ways, I think they judged pop music differently and sort of talked about rock or alternative or indie being more important than something like Taylor Swift. The pendulum, I think, swung way the other way. There's a term that they use called poptimism, which is the idea that pop deserves the same critical respect as rock. And some now, though, think that we've gone way too far into poptimism, and you can't have critical thought about music, especially pop music, because the people who are writing these stories about musicians are worried that if they say something negative about Taylor Swift, that her fans are going to show up at her house.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, right off the bat, Swiftie right here. So much respect for what she does. Sure. I miss the Eras tour, and
right.
I'm very.
By the way, we're all big Taylor Swift fans.
Of course.
To the Taylor Swift army out there, don't come to our houses.
Yes, please no. But it's a tale as old as time. The pendulum swinging. Pop music has been around in different forms forever. Beatles were pop. Before that, 50s, it was all kind of Sinatra and the pop music, really pop. And then the 60s come along, Beatles evolve. Then they become more heady. Then it's more thoughtful, insightful. Then when times are tough, people just want to dance. They want to kind of forget about the times at hand. And like what Andy was mentioning, when we kind of came up, it was the hipster area where you needed to be super cool.
Yeah.
And pop was not cool at that time. But now it's coming back around where pop is quote unquote cool, and it's not cool to be quote unquote mean to someone.
Right.
And I think that's
because
where
they
critics,
pop. Yeah, and there's no negative reviews anymore because everything has a merit on its own, which is kind of frustrating too, because then it seems like I don't know that anybody really is reading any of these reviews to get their music. I think they're getting it through all these other places like TikTok.
I think so too, and I think the people that actually did read reviews back in the day were music lovers, and you would read it in magazines because you went and searched out Rolling Stone, things like that. But now everyone is a critic and wants to share their opinion, and they can with this great thing called the internet and social media.
And with a show like The Voice, for instance, when people get to come on and they get to really be seen as their actual selves, not, as in a television show, not in these sort of hyper little moments of virality, chasing the algorithm or whatever, I almost feel like it feels more honest and kind of quaint.
Well, yeah, it's really interesting. I think, and full disclosure, I actually work on the show in the capacity of digital and social content. So like a yes and to the show. And that's what I think is so cool about the show. You have the show that's on NBC and you watch that and you see who they are and you get this big kind of like background package. You get to know them a little bit, but then you also get to see them on your phone and you get to see the little bits of it. And then I think that's also the reach now is incredible. It's for reaching more people than ever.
Yeah, and I think in some ways it's cool because you can be your own promoter and you are your own record label, but at the same time it's like, I know a lot of the gripes that I see from musicians right now is that they're not spending time making music. They have become social media
everything.
marketers.
They're doing everything. To quote Charles Dickens, it's the best of times, it was the worst of times. I mean, that's where we are, I think, with music.
He brought the Dickens, you guys.
I had to. A little cliche there. But no, I mean, I think there's a lot of amazingness with the internet and, being able to be in your bedroom and make a song that everyone hears. But then there's a lot of, negatives to it too, where like, we're not gathering outside the venue to buy tickets or get in and having a sense of community and fostering a young act in Los Angeles anymore. The Sunset Strip is dead. It's just a different kind. There's pros and cons to it.
And fandom, it feels like, is only reserved for the uber huge, the Taylor Swift, the Beyonce, etc. And I don't think there's the sort of excitement and the craziness like where you and I maybe in high school would have waited out for any old band for hours to see them.
Oh yeah, and it's harder to get any information about them. We didn't know about their lives. Maybe we saw one thing in a magazine or something, but no.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll continue this conversation, and then we're going to go way back to the golden era of music in Los Angeles. We'll talk about some of the LA music scene stories from way back in the day. We're going to hit on some yacht rock, maybe some Petty.
Love it, both for sure.
That's all coming up here. It's Later with Mo Kelly. I'm Andy Riesmeyer.
With markets changing and living costs rising, finding a reliable place to grow your money matters now more than ever. With the Wealthfront Cash Account, your uninvested money earns a 3.75% APY, which is higher than the average savings rate. There are no account fees or minimums, and you also get free instant withdrawals to eligible accounts 24/7. So you always have access to your money when you need it. And when you're ready to invest, you can transfer your cash to one of Wealthfront's expert-built portfolios in just minutes. More than 1 million people already use Wealthfront to save and build long-term wealth with confidence. Get started today at wealthfront.com. Cash account offered by Wealthfront Brokerage, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Wealthfront Brokerage is not a bank. Annual percentage yield on deposits as of September 26, 2025 is representative, subject to change, and requires no minimum. The cash account is not a bank account. Funds are swept to program banks where they earn the variable APY.
Listening to KFI AM 640 on demand.
Yeah, I'm Andy Riesmeyer in for Mo on this Thursday evening. In studio here with Jack Primavera, who also, in addition to being a good friend, works on the television show The Voice.
Hello.
The coaches this season.
We've got some good ones, and what a representation of music at the moment. But we have Snoop Dogg, Reba McEntire.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Both amazing. Michael Bublé, also amazing. And Niall Horan, formerly of One Direction fame and now an amazing solo artist in his own right. That's a spread right there.
Is Michael Bublé as suave in person as he appears on camera?
Yes, he is. And I will say, I've had the privilege of being able to, we always do like coach performances, whether they're together or they'll perform a song of their own or even with their team sometimes. Yeah. Michael is a performer.
I'm sure.
He puts on a show.
Yeah, to be that close to somebody that huge and to even listen to him, I'm sure, have you heard him sing like without a microphone even before or just like be in the room?
100%.
Unbelievable.
On one of our coaches from the previous season, he's coming back in 29, John Legend, do a show with him called Trailer Talk. It's like a backstage kind of thing, like our version of a tiny desk,
fun.
if you will.
Yeah.
Just him and a keyboard, and it's just incredible. And it's like pinch me kind of moment.
Yeah.
Like 16-year-old Jack, when we were in Miss Corpenny's class, would be like, whoa.
You brought me to see one of my favorite bands of all time, Tears for Fears. And I was 15 feet away from Roland and from Kurt, watching them do Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yes.
Like 7 times. It was like one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah.
And because that, the set is relatively small compared to where you would normally see these huge acts.
There's not a bad seat in the house.
No.
Yes. And it's honestly, anyone wants to come to the taping of the show, it's like a concert.
You just call Jack Primavera and then he'll walk you on the lot. From Coachella, or from coaches rather, to Coachella.
Like that.
Pop music taking over Coachella once again.
Yeah, to our conversation earlier about pop music, it's 3 pop headliners. You got some rock, you got some hip hop, you got some kind of country in there. I know they're Stagecoach, but yeah, 3 powerhouse pop artists, and of course Justin Bieber. People are very excited about this.
Will he hear or won't he, you think?
I think he will.
Yeah.
I think, he came back with 2 strong albums.
Great records.
Are what, the critics, we could go back to our conversation, but people are liking it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's going to. And he's been a guest a few times, so I wonder who he brings out. But it sold out. I mean, both weekends sold out quicker than it has previously.
Absolutely. I don't even think it sold out last year at all. Yeah. So this is different. And, that pop thing obviously does move the needle. It gets people excited and into the seats. Let's go back way before there ever was a Coachella to when it was just the Coachella Valley. And another valley was producing rock stars left and right. Talk about the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, yes.
Up in Sherman Oaks, you had the Boys of Toto. Over in Woodland Hills, you had Tom Petty and his Heartbreakers. When you look at even just a little bit further south there, Topanga Canyon, that was a scene. Laurel Canyon, obviously, huge scene. My heart breaks a little bit for LA because I think that it's just, similarly with television and movies, it is not what it used to be.
Yes, and I will admit I was not alive during a good chunk of those scenes. However, I mean, it is pretty incredible to think that Laurel Canyon, I was driving through it the other day, and it used to be the cheap place to live. That's where all musicians were able to, get their start and live cheaply, And
I know that there's still a lot of people who live there who are musicians.
Yeah.
But they're like very well off. They have Grammys.
Because of the history of it, too. It's like a desirable place to live.
And it's not like a bunch of starving artists are hanging out in Laurel Canyon anymore, but they are still making music, and there's people who have little studios in their homes. We've been to many of them. And I just wonder, when you think about the scenes throughout history, like what would it take for LA to have another scene?
Ooh, I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with technology. It's like scenes are tough because now everything's at the tips of our fingers with our phones. Like, the scene is your little community online in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I could see, to spin this to the positive, I could see people wanting to make a scene. And, when we were just first out in LA, it was the kind of the Silver Lake Lounge scene. And that was, I felt that was a pretty fun scene. And I'm sure there's scenes that we just might not even know about, but
we don't get invited anymore. We're too old and out of the cool thing.
Yeah, let us know. I'm coming. I would love to come.
I know there are a couple scenes happening in South LA. And especially like towards downtown Boyle Heights, there was a really cool punk rock scene for a while.
Yes, right.
And that was really neat. That was happening a few years ago, maybe before the pandemic. I'm not sure what that's like now. But I think about the days of the old studio musicians, like the guys from Toto specifically.
Oh, yeah. The Carter Brothers. Yeah.
Just up in Valley Village, went to high school in the Valley. All of a sudden, 70s, 80s come around. They're unbelievable musicians. They know each other from the neighborhood. And then they start making records. And, obviously the rest is history. They still basically sell out the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, and before them, the Wrecking Crew. LA, of course, after New York City was the big music boom, it was LA starting in the 60s. And everyone came out there. You either lived there and stayed because you're a musician, or like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, you moved out here to be close to music.
Right. What do you think is the draw in a non-sort of... people came out here because that was where the industry was.
That was the scene, yeah.
Why?
That was the scene. The only place you couldn't do it back, like where we're from in Indiana, there just wasn't the scene to do it.
No, and I don't think that there's a lot of compelling reasons for people to come here now.
No.
But what do you think could happen? What would happen that maybe could make people want to create like an LA music scene again?
Well, to quote one of our good buddies, Peter Doherty.
Is it Charles Dickens?
That would have been good.
Oh, okay.
No, our good buddy Peter Doherty once said, like, what he thinks punk rock's going to be one day is the kind of revolt against AI and all these algorithms and the online world.
I certainly hope so.
And people, like, the most punk rock thing is a mandolin, like it was like an acoustic instrument.
Yeah.
So people like being together in a space. I'm optimistic that'll come back.
I think you see that. And to take it back to Justin Bieber, Dijon, for instance, who produced a lot of wrote a lot of the songs on that new record. Even the way that he put music together was 4 or 5 dudes in a room. And I use dude non-gender, so don't tweet me. Playing music,
yes,
live, filming it, and that's the music video. That's the thing that goes on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that we get shared over and over again, and that's how you see real talent. Because especially now, if you see how easy it is to make anything with AI, it's a way different world.
Yeah, and I think people are going to want that human touch.
Well said. Jack Primavera, thank you so much for coming here.
Andy, thank you.
The Voice, season 28 on NBC Now. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
KFI AM 640 on demand.